Hello, everyone. In this writing video, we are going to look at a common writing error that most beginning writers make, and it is called keeping verb tense consistent. And we're going to go through a series of strategies that you can use just to make sure that you kind of keep this all consistent with your writing in your passage. All right, so to begin, what is a verb tense? A verb is any word that refers to an action that you can do. For example, you can run, you can talk, you can hike, you can sing, you can dance, you could do work. And it's important to note that verbs come in three different tenses. You've got past tense, which describes things that have already happened. You've got present tense, which describes things that are happening right this very instant or are continually happening. Or you have the future tense, things that are going to happen or have yet to happen. Here are some examples. I chose the verb walk. Okay, if I take the word walk and I put it as past tense, it says I have walked to work. Present tense means I walk to work. And then if I'm looking at the future tense of walk, it will be I will walk to work. Now, with verb tense, you're probably like, well, what's the problem? I don't see any problem here. What is the issue is when you do not keep it consistent in your actual writing. You have to keep it consistent. If you start your passage in past tense, your whole passage or your whole piece should be written in past tense. Writing a memoir, writing about a memory, those things have clearly happened in the past. You should never talk about it as present or future tense. In the pink box, it's kind of highlighted how there are two different tenses going on in this one sentence. We have a past tense and a present tense. It says, during the movie, Sam stood up and then drops his popcorn. Stood being the past tense form, and then drops being the present tense. And you can see where there's an issue. More examples are highlighted on this slide here. On the left-hand side, you're going to see two sentences that have incorrect tenses. On the first one, we have bought, which is referencing the past tense, and then go being present, and then by being present tense, and then went past tense. And over on the right-hand side, this is how you can fix those errors to make them more consistent. You can either choose with the first sentence going all in the past, or going to the second sentence where you're talking about the future tense. I will buy some milk when I go to the store. Here are some more examples and the way you can correct them. The first sentence, if the club limited its membership, it will have to raise its dues. You could just change will to would, and it would actually fix that pretty easily. And then with the second one, as Barbara puts in her contact lenses, the telephone rang. Puts could be changed to put, or if you wanted to keep it present tense, you could change rang to rings. All right, so we're going to practice this a little bit. Can you determine if the verb tense is correct? So, for the first sentence, it says, the instructor explains the diagram to the students that asked questions during the lecture. Ask yourself, is this consistent or not? If you said this sentence was incorrect, then you are absolutely correct. You have the instructor explains and the students that asked, so you have the past and present tense. The next sentence, about noon the sky darkened, a breeze sprang up, and a low rumble announces the approaching storm. Would this sentence be considered correct verb tenses, consistent verb tenses, or incorrect? You have to identify the verbs darkened, sprang, approaching. If you said this was incorrect, you are on target. The third sentence, yesterday we walked to the school, but later we rode the bus home. Okay, you have to determine the verbs, walked and rode. Now, if you said those were correct, you are correct. Those are both written in past tense. And finally, number 4, if the club limited its membership, it will have to raise its dues. Incorrect. You have limited and will have in terms of the verb tenses there. Okay, so hopefully you were able to get some practice to identify if the verb tense is correct. It gets a little more challenging here because now we're not doing separate sentences. We're actually looking at the errors in a paragraph, which is ultimately what you're going to be revising for in your own writing. For the past 7 years, I have called myself a swimmer. Swimming, my one sport, provides a necessary outlet for my abundant energy. I have always drawn satisfaction from exertion, straining my muscles to their limits. I don't know why pushing forward in the water, as my muscles cried out in pain, sets off a booming cheer in my head. Many times when I rounded the turn for the last lap of a race, my complaining muscles want to shift down and idle to the finish. My mind, however, presses the pedal to the floor and yells, "Faster!" The moment that I have touched the wall, my muscles relax, the pain subsides, and I am pleased to have passed the point of conflict. Okay, and this is from Brendan McLean's Harder. Now, what you were supposed to do is identify any inconsistencies in tense, and there are a few examples. And the big hint here is the main tense of this paragraph is present tense, so any verb that you saw that was past tense is incorrect. See if you can identify some of those. Were you correct? The main tense of this paragraph was present. Anytime there was a past tense verb provided, those were incorrect shifts in these tenses. And I highlighted those in bold and colored them in red. So, in closing, please remember that when you are writing your paragraphs, do not shift from one verb tense to another. You want to keep it consistent and make sure that everything that you are doing throughout your paragraph follows the same format so that it does not confuse your readers. Good luck and happy writing.